If you follow the instructions I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna tell you what to say on the phone, you're gonna come off as a professional, and all people care about is that you are solving their problem, and I'm gonna teach you how to do that today. Look at this. They're everywhere. These deals are everywhere, okay? Guys, I know for beginners, this might seem crazy. Is it really that easy? If I were to start over from scratch, without having a lot of money, without having any experience, without having a real estate license, good credit, or anything like that, here's exactly what I would do to get my very first $20,000 profit real estate deal. Okay, I'm literally gonna go through every single step live right here on my computer, and I'm gonna give you a process that you can follow. So if you, in the next 30, 60, 90 days, you are making your very first $20,000 profit in wholesale real estate, even if you're a complete beginner. And I know what I'm talking about because I've taught thousands of people out of wholesale. I've gotten hundreds of people their first deal. And I even have students who are making over $100,000 a month wholesaling real estate. Okay, I know exactly what the best strategies are for beginners to be able to go from 0 to 1, and I'm gonna give them to you right now, okay? So it's time to lock in, get a notepad, open up your notes app, whatever you need, because we're about to go through this step by step. But before we get started, I'm going to tell you what we are not going to be doing is looking at any FOTM strategies. Bear with me, I'm writing this on a mouse and I haven't gotten very good at it yet. Now, FOTM, that is flavor of the month. We are not looking at any bullshit flavor of the month strategies. I'm not gonna tell you to go on market wholesale because guess what? Realtors are not very beginner friendly, okay? They're gonna be asking you for a bunch of earnest money deposit. They're not gonna allow you to have an assignable contract. They're not gonna allow you to have a long inspection period. We're not gonna do that. We are not going to be spending all of our money, okay? Guys, here's the deal. I see people telling beginners to go start spending money on marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that. But here's the deal, you are a beginner. Now, yes, Facebook ads and Google PPC campaigns are great ways to get leads once you know what you're doing. But in the beginning, you're gonna be hopping on the phone, and guess what? I was in your shoes once. You're gonna be pissing on your nuts. You're gonna be scared. You're gonna be stumbling over your words. You're not gonna be saying the right things, and that's fine, okay? But what we don't want you to do is be pissing on your nuts, stumbling over your words when you just paid $200 for a lead. Instead, I'm gonna show you some cheap ways to get leads, some cheap and free ways to get leads so you can own your skills, get good at being on the phone, learn the things to say, and then once you do close that $20,000 deal, you can move into these, more advanced marketing strategies that cost more money, okay? And last thing that we're not gonna do is waste time, okay? I see a lot of people that are, getting into wholesaling and they're wasting time on bullshit that they have no need to be wasting time on. We're not gonna be worried about your website, your name, getting an LLC or anything like that. What we're focusing on is getting you from 0 to 1 as quickly as possible. 1 being $20,000 in your bank account, okay? You don't need any of that shit to get there. You do not need the LLC, you do not need a website, you don't need a company name, okay? Beginners always come, they're like, well, how is anybody gonna trust me? And I'm like, dude, they're not gonna trust you more because you have some dinky little website that says, Joe Blow buys homes. Like, that does not matter, okay? All the instructions I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna tell you what to say on the phone, you're gonna come off as a professional, and all people care about is that you are solving their problem, and I'm gonna teach you how to do that today, okay? So, with that being said, let's get into it. Here is what you are going to do to get your very first wholesale deal. Easy 7-step process. Or I shouldn't say easy, simple 7-step process. Okay, step number 1, we need to find leads, okay? I'm gonna show you 2 different ways for finding leads. One costs $99 a month. If you have $100 a month to spend, this will drastically help you. If you don't worry, I will also show you some absolutely free ways, okay? So the first way is going to be using a website called Virtual Flip Leads, okay? This is what I use in my business. It kicks ass. The reason why I use it is because number 1, you can find leads on here, and you can also, or leads like seller leads, people who have a high chance of needing to sell their property quickly, excellent for wholesale deals, and you can find cash buyers on here, okay? And the reason we use it for finding seller leads is because of this right here, Sell Score. We live in 2025 and we have access to these crazy robots, the media likes to call them AI, who are gonna go ahead and do all of the work for us, which means these robots are gonna find us which properties have the highest chance of selling easy as possible. So check this out. By the way, pricing. Look, Start here, 99 bucks a month. That's all you need. Gives you 5,000 monthly leads. Guys, 5,000 monthly leads is enough to do 1 to 2, maybe 3 deals a month, okay? That'll get you there. That's all you need for right now, all right? So once you get signed up, we're gonna go to this screen and you are going to choose your market, okay? Now, do not overcomplicate this. Do not go in the comments and say, Tyson, but what are the best markets? No, all the markets are good. Here's all you need to know. Pick a market that is within 1 hour of a professional sports team, okay? If there's a professional sports team around this place, then you are good to go. Now, the actual sports team has nothing to do with it. It's just a way to find a market that has a high population, a place where people want to live, okay? Here's the deal about wholesaling real estate. It would be very easy for me to go find properties out in, let's see here. Let me, what do we got? I could come out here in the Panhandle in this place right here, whatever this is, in Leonia, and guess what? I could probably get properties under contract for 10 cents on the dollar. But who the fuck wants to invest in real estate? Who wants to flip houses out here in Leona? Nobody, right? Guys, it's one thing to get properties under contract for cheap. The way we make money is by selling them, right? So we want to stick to decently populated areas, right? We want to be in Tallahassee, okay? We want to be in Gainesville. These are all great places, okay? Let's just do Gainesville. This is fine, okay? So once you pick a market that is with 1 hour of a professional sports team, now I know Gainesville probably isn't, but it's a decently populated area, right? We're gonna search Gainesville up here. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna select off market once it loads. And sorry, I have a bunch of filters on here already. Look, we're gonna select Gainesville. We're gonna select off market. And we're gonna go to sell score and we're gonna move this to 100%. Check that out. We just found the 279 properties in Gainesville, Florida that are the most likely to sell to a real estate investor just like that, okay? All we need to do is select all, save these to a list. We'll go ahead, we'll name it Gainesville, Florida. And then once we save them, it'll take a second, take like 5 minutes. It'll populate right here and we'll just go. And then for instance, let's say that this was the list, boom, we'd be ready to call. It'll have all the phone numbers. It'll have the, available pictures of the property. We can click it. We can see all the information we need, right? Phone numbers, owner name, everything we could possibly care about the property will all be right here, okay? So this is the paid way to find leads right here, okay? So we have an option, we have option 1, which is paid way, virtualflipleads.com, okay? Okay. How do I connect these? Boom. Okay. Look at me. I'm just already a professional at this little software. Okay. So then we have the second way, which is going to be the free way. Okay. Now, this is not as good, but it does work. Okay. I do have students who are getting deals using this strategy, which is going to be perusing 3 websites. Okay. You're going to be perusing Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and OfferUp. Okay. OfferUp's an app, so I'm not going to be able to show it to you live, but I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to do because it's the same for all the websites. Ugh, I'm hating the way that this is looking. We need to move that. Yeah. So first thing, you'll go to Craigslist. You'll search Craigslist. And then you'll come up here and you're going to search house for sale. Okay. Now, once you do this, you want to make sure that you are in housing, apartments, housing for rent. You're going to go to real estate for sale. Now, boom, look. All these properties that are for sale by owner. Now you do want to make sure you click the listing and make sure it's actually listed by the owner, not, dude, look at this. Beautiful. By the actual owner, not a realtor who's just listed on here. Damn, look at this deal. Anyway, this is a great way. So you want to be monitoring this website. You also want to be monitoring Facebook Marketplace, okay? So go to Facebook, make a Facebook account if you don't already have one. Search real estate. Now, lastly, you do the exact same thing on OfferUp. and you'd be good to go, okay? So once we have either pulled a list on virtual flip leads or we're monitoring these free websites, it is now time to move to step number 2, which is going to be to have a conversation. Okay, we need to call up the owner of the property. We need to have a conversation with them. Okay, now when we do this, we're going to be asking them 4 main questions. Okay, 4 main questions, and this is going to be the W, H. Okay, this is it. This is all you need to know. H. Why? What? When? And how much? Okay, but we have a specific way that we do these. Okay, so first, the why. Why are you interested in selling your property? What's got you interested in selling this place? The reason why we need to ask why is because nobody is going to sell their property for a discount unless they have a strong motivation for selling. So we're looking for things here like, I need to move across the country, or I just got a new job. I need to move across the country in a month. Or, you know what, the property needs a bunch of repairs and I can't afford to fix it up. Or this is an investment property and the tenants aren't paying rent anymore. We're looking for strong sources of motivation, not, I just kind of wanted to see what I could get for it. Remember, we need a strong motivation. So we're going to ask them, what's got you interested in selling this property? We're looking for somebody who's very motivated to sell. Once we have the, let me go ahead and break this down even further for you guys. So what's got you interested in selling? Okay. That's the why. And then we got the what. The what is, we need to figure out what kind of condition the property's in. Okay. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, with a 1 being we'd need to tear the property down and start over, and a 10 being it was fully remodeled yesterday. How would you rate the condition of the property? Now, here's the point. We're going to ask them this question. They're going to say, oh, it's probably a 6. Then we're going to say, well, what would we need to do to make it a 10? Okay. Now they're going to tell us everything that's wrong with the property. And this is all going to be ammunition for us to negotiate and get the best possible price. Because remember, the cheapest we can get the property under contract for, the more money we make. We want to haggle down as much as we possibly can. So they're going to sit there and say, well, in order for it to be a 10, it needs X, Y, it needs a new roof. The bathrooms have never been updated. The kitchen is the same one from 1950. The AC doesn't work anymore. There's a window that's broken. There's some drywall that needs to be fixed. The carpet all needs to be replaced, And we're going to sit there and we're going to write all this down. We're going to say, thank you so much for sharing it with that. Okay? And we're going to move on to the next question, which is when. Basically, when would you like to have the property sold and have the money in your pocket? Guys, this phrase right here, when would you like to have the money in your pocket? Very important. We get them to start visualizing them actually getting the money. And they start to be thinking about what they're going to do with all of it. They start to sell themselves on selling the property. So it's a very good question. Basically, we're just trying to figure out when they're going to be ready to move out, especially if they're living there, right? Everybody wants to get paid as soon as possible, but you don't get paid until you're fucking out of the house. So we need to figure out when that will be. For most people, it's going to be like 30 days, maybe 45, but most people say 30 days, okay? And that's perfect because this is just going to be when we put as our close of escrow date on the actual contract. All right. So we're going to ask when, we're going to figure out when they're ready to move. Then last question, we're going to ask how much. Now, first, we're just going to ask them like, hey, based on what you told me about the property, it needs, and they're going to list off everything that they said the property needs to be a 10. Okay. So based on what you told me about the property, we need to replace the carpet. We need to, put in a new kitchen or bathroom. The roof needs to be replaced. The AC needs to be fixed. What do you feel is a fair price for the home in its current condition. And then they're going to say a number. They're going to say, well, you know, based on all of that, I think $200,000 is fair. And you're going to say, $200,000. Okay. Well, if we were to pay all the closing costs, there were no realtor fees, and we bought the property entirely as is, what is the best price you could do? So it's like a 1-2 punch, right? We force them to remember all the worst parts about the property, and then we ask them what we think a fair price is. They give us a number, and then we hit them with all the benefits of working with us. Because remember, they're not going to be paying the closing costs. Neither are you. The end buyer will be paying them. There aren't any realtor fees. We're not working with any realtors. And the end buyer will be purchasing the property as is. So they won't need to be making any repairs. So then we double down and we say, what is the best price we could do? Now, watch out. Very important here, okay? Very important. We say, what is the best price you could do? Not, is that the best price you could do? If you say, is that the best price you could do? You're asking them, they can say yes or no. And it's very easy to say, yes, that's the best price I could do. We want to say, what is the best price you could do? Because then you force them to say a number, okay? And that's very important because that question right there has made me legitimately millions of dollars, because I'd say more than half of the time, people will drop their price. I've had somebody drop their price $100,000 from that question right there. So once we've talked to the homeowner, we understand all of this information. We understand what's got them interested in selling. We need to make this so much bigger. So once we understand why they want to sell, the condition of the property, what it is on a scale of 1 to 10, what it needs to be a 10, when they actually want to have the property sold and the money in their pocket, and how much they're looking to get, and we're already beginning the negotiation process to get it under contract for the cheapest possible price, it is then time to move to the next section, which is going to be to make them an offer. So we're on the phone with them. They just gave us all this information. We're gonna say, hey, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna go ahead, sharpen my pencil, figure out what we can do on this property. I'll give you a call back in the next 20 minutes with my offer. I'll say, okay. Now it's time for you to make them an offer. Now, you can be super lazy and go to Zillow and take the Zestimate of the property and multiply it by 60, and that will be a rough MAO. MAO stands for max allowable offer, meaning the most you can offer somebody for their property and still be able to wholesale it. This is not perfect. It will probably cause you to be way lowballing people, which is fine, because if you get it under contract, it'll make it super easy to sell and you'll make a lot of money, but it's one way to do it. The other way would be to actually find the ARV and use my calculator. Now, I am not gonna go over this in this video. If you guys need me to explain how to find the ARV and use my calculator, which by the way, you'll be able to download the calculator, get all the resources, the contracts, the calculator, everything you need using the link below. But I'm not gonna go over exactly how to do it in this video because that's a thing on its own. If you want me to make a video like that, go ahead and comment below and tell me. Because if you guys feel like you need that, I got you. I'll teach you how to find ARV, use the calculator, calculate repairs, whatever you need. But basically, you'll do one of these two things and you'll get your offer. You'll then call them back and you will make their offer. Now, most people are going to decline your offer. That's fine, okay? Most people I've ever talked to decline my offers. The difference between me and people who don't get deals is that I continuously follow up with those people. If somebody declines my offer, I'm going to keep calling them and saying, hey, I know my offer didn't work. I was wondering if anything changed. I was wondering if there's anything we can do, right? And I keep following up every single week. The fortune is in the follow-up, okay? But once they do accept, you will then need to send them a contract. Now, when it comes to sending a contract, you're just going to use DocuSign and you're going to use my contract. Okay, so, no, I already have a video on how to fill out the contract on DocuSign. I'm gonna have my editors link that right now. so you guys can figure out where that video is. You can go watch that if you need any help with it. But it's super fucking easy, okay? You pretty much fill in the price, their name, and you guys sign it, okay? It's super easy. So, but that video will be linked. You guys can go watch that if you need. Next, you're going to get photos of the property. Basically, you need to get updated photos of the property, okay? Because we're gonna be shopping this to cash buyers and they need to see updated photos or they're not gonna know if they wanna buy it. Now, instead of you going to go see the property yourself, like some kind of wagey plebeian, you have two options. Ask the seller to take photos, or if they can't, hire someone on Craigslist, okay? Literally, go to Craigslist, new job offered, like $30, go to ChatGPT and say, hey, create me a job ad for Craigslist to find somebody to go take pictures of a wholesale deal I just got under contract. Then, also in the free wholesaling resources thing below, I have a photo shot list that shows all the photos we need of the property. You will send that to either the seller or somebody hired on Craigslist to go take photos of the property. Okay, you'll just, if you hire someone on Craigslist, you'll schedule with the seller after you've got the property under contract. When you're gonna have the person on Craigslist, you just tell them, hey, one of my guys, my photographer, whatever, is gonna go take pictures. Don't tell them you're hiring them from Craigslist. But yeah, you'll send them over, they'll get photos. You're then going to need to move on to step number 6, which is finding a buyer, okay? Now, finding a buyer. Virtual flip leads is going to be your best bet, which is paid. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Or you can use Facebook groups, which is free. I'm going to show you how that works, okay? So first, virtual flip leads. So let's say we get a property under contract in Gainesville. We now need to find a cash buyer. We search Gainesville on virtual flip leads. We're going to scroll on over to this cash buyer filter. And as we can see, in Gainesville, there are 17,000 properties that have been purchased for cash. Now, I don't give a shit about all 17,000 of these. I'm just looking for the ones that are most likely to be real estate investors. So I'm going to go into these filters over here on the right, cash buyer, and I'm going to be only people who purchase properties for cash in the last 12 months. Okay. As we can see, we've taken that down to now 711. All right. Here are 711 people who have purchased properties in Gainesville in the last year. I'm also going to see who has a minimum of 3 other properties. Now we know they're big ballers. We know they at least have 3 properties and they purchased one last year. So it'll now give us the list of these properties. So these are all owned. These were all purchased by somebody who purchased them for cash. So we're going to save this list just like we did the cash buyers list, or just like the seller list. Once we save it, we're going to go ahead, we'll go find it up here in the lists. So let's see, here's a cash buyers list, right? It was not pulled. Here we go. Okay, this is my demo account. I'm sorry, I don't have cash buyers in here, but they would show up, right? Just like they did with this one right here, right? They would show up. Now, remember, this is a property that a cash buyer purchased for cash. So let's say this was a cash buyers list. I'd call and I'd say, hey, Robert, it looks like you purchased a property over in Jacksonville for cash. I actually have a property in Jacksonville that's worth X that I'm selling for Y. Would you be interested in taking a look? And they'll say, fuck yeah, of course I would. Send me the details, okay? So you're gonna go do that. You're gonna send them the details, which is just gonna be the photos of the property, how much you're asking for it, and then how many bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, and any other relevant things, right? Like, hey, the roof needs to be replaced, or there's a pool in the back, or whatever the fuck, right? Super simple though, doesn't need to be complicated, all right? So that's the paid way. The free way is to go to Facebook and just search real estate investors Gainesville, or any city, right? And then you're gonna find shit like this group, real estate investor, Gainesville, Florida real estate investors, where look, people are posting deals. I have a property under contract, right? But basically you can post your deal for sale in here. Like, look, this guy posts this deal, right? And then if we go to the comments, we've got people that are interested. Hey, can you send me? I'm interested, blah, 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 whatever, right? You would also, don't just do this in one group. Like, go find all the Florida real estate groups and post them in there, okay? And it costs you absolutely no money. The one thing I will say is if you're posting your deal for sale in these Facebook groups, do not put the address. Just put the zip code like, hey, new deal for sale in this zip code, right? And then the details. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house built in 1980. It's worth $450,000. I'm selling it for $320,000. If you're interested, send me a message. Basically, you want to get on the phone with any potential buyers before you give them the message. Make sure they're legit, right? Make sure they're not just like another wholesaler or somebody fucking weird, right? Because if you post the address, you'll have random fucking simpletons who will go to the house and be like, hey, I saw the house was listed for sale, and just like talk to the seller and be stupid. So just don't put the address, just make sure that they're regular people who like know what the fuck they're doing. Once you've done that, it's now time to move on to the last one, which is find a let's see here. Okay. Get paid. Now, here are the 7 steps. Remember, we're going to find leads. We're going to find leads. We're going to have a conversation with them. We're going to make them an offer. We're going to send them a contract. We're going to get photos. We're going to find a buyer, and we're going to get paid. We get paid from a title company, okay? The way this works is once we get a deal under contract, we are going to send that contract to a title company. And I'm going to create a new flow chart here in a second that goes through this entire thing. But what you need to know is that there are companies called title companies, and these are essentially real estate referees. Every single property that's transacted, whether an investor is buying it or it's sold on the market with a realtor, goes through a title company. They are the referee. They make sure that the seller can actually sell the property. They make sure that any kind of mortgage on the property or anything that needs to get paid off gets paid off. They make sure the buyer pays all the money they're supposed to. And as wholesalers, most importantly, they make sure that we get our fucking assignment fee. Okay? So you need to find a title company. You need to find a wholesale friendly title company. The way you do that is by going to Google and typing in title company in Gainesville, Florida. We do this and boom, look at all these title companies. We then are going to call them up and we're going to say, like, any of them, it doesn't matter. I'm going to call them up. I'm going to call this number. I'm going to say, hey, do you guys work with wholesalers? And if they say yes, I'm going to say perfect. And I'm going to send them my contract. And I'm going to say, like, so basically I'll save my contract, the PDF from DocuSign, and I'll send them the contract and I'll say, hey, just got this property under contract. I'm looking to assign it to an end buyer. We tell them we're wholesaling it. You say, here's my contact info. Here's the seller's contact info. Let me know if there's anything else you need to get started, okay? The title company then is gonna reach out to the seller. They're gonna get their information, make sure that, hey, this person actually owns this property. They're able to sell it. They're gonna begin what's called a title search, where they're gonna see if there's any liens, mortgages, shit like that on the property. And then once you find a cash buyer for the property, over here in step number 6, and you get the assignment contract signed, which again, you can get the assignment contract using the shit down below or in the description down below. You'll send it to them, or you'll get the assignment contract signed. Actually, hold on. I realize that probably a lot of beginners are gonna have questions about this. Once you find somebody who's interested in buying the property, they are gonna wanna go see it. Now, don't get scratched out about this. You don't need to be there. Is what you're gonna do is you're gonna say, okay, you know they're serious. You know the cash buyer is serious about buying the property. They just wanna go see it. You're gonna call up the seller. They're gonna say, hey, my financial partner needs to come walk the property. When is a good time for them to do this? Now, they're not gonna have any questions, but if they do, who's your financial partner? Be like, this is the person who's actually funding the deal. Oh, okay, simple, right? They need to come walk the property. When works better for you? Mornings or afternoons? Afternoons, perfect. How's tomorrow afternoon? Perfect. You're gonna call the buyer and say, hey, you can go by tomorrow afternoon. While you're there, obviously, I'm assigning this contract, so do not talk to the seller. And they're gonna say, yeah, of course, I know, all right? Then they're gonna say, yeah, tomorrow afternoon's perfect. You're gonna call up the seller, you're like, hey, confirmed, my financial partner will be coming by. By the way, while he's there, don't talk to him. Like, if he has any questions about the property or anything like that, just tell him to go ahead and call me. I don't want you to say something that might mess up the deal. And they're like, okay, perfect. They go, they let him in, they look at the property, they come back, they say, hey, I want it. You send them the assignment contract on DocuSign. Again, super simple. And the contracts are all down below, so you guys can get them right now. And then, once you get the assignment contract signed, you'd also send that to the title company. The title company then will be in contact and let you know if you need to do anything. Most of the time you don't, okay? Then on the close of escrow date, the cash buyer pays all the money to the title company. The title company gives the money to the seller that they're owed, and then they send you your assignment fee, okay? Then once you get that assignment fee, you go to my Instagram, you send me a DM, and you get fucking hyped with me because you just made $20,000, all right? Guys, I know for beginners, this might seem crazy. Is it really that easy? Yes, it is really that easy, okay? I remember when I came into this, I had these limiting beliefs of like, why is somebody gonna sell their property to me? I'm just a 22-year-old shithead. It's because, dude, they don't care. They don't know, all right? As long as you call them up, you say these words, you're gonna sound like a pro, okay? As long as you call and you make these lowball offers and you say it with some confidence, say, yeah, I would like to offer you, so look, they're asking 250, you call them, you say, I'd like to offer you $200,000 for the property. That's too low. Well, I'm sorry, right? You said your property needs X, Y, and Z. That's what I can pay. And you keep following up with them. You keep doing this, you're eventually gonna send contracts, okay? You get a contract, you get the seller to take photos. If you can't get the seller, get somebody on Craigslist. Find buyers online easily, 2 seconds. Set up a showing for them to go see it. Send them an assignment contract. Send both the contracts to the title company, get paid, okay? It really is as simple as that. If you do have any other questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you want my help directly to walk you through all of these steps, then hit the main link below to fill out an application to work with me and my team where we are going to personally help you close your first deal, okay? If that's something that's interesting to you, you want access to me, you want me to tell you, or me, my team to tell you how much to offer, what market to pick, exactly what list to pull, how to reach out to them, help you every single step along the way, hit the main link below and join the hundreds of people I have helped get their first deal, okay? But if you do have questions, drop them below. If you haven't already, subscribe, like the video. If you guys like this style of video, please also let me know. I am made it a goal to make 5 videos every single week for the next 5 weeks, and I've been actually having a ton of fun with it, okay? But I wanna make videos that are gonna be helpful for you guys. So you guys need to tell me what that is. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Like I said, drop a comment. I wanna see, I'll be responding to them, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.